Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. So it's kind of funny in terms of this being the second sequel in this series, the third movie, where with the first two, 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later, I'd watched those with my mom. I watched them like pretty close to each other, and then we were supposed to watch this one, the third movie, and we're gonna do it together. Except we just never got around to it, and it's like months later, and my mom isn't even like here right now to watch it with me. So I was just like, okay, like enough. And I'm not trying to like be mean to her or anything. This ends up happening a lot actually, where we're gonna watch something together and then it just never happens. And I was like, okay, let me just watch this, because if like I don't choose to watch this by myself, I'm never gonna get around to watching this. So yeah, it's been some time for me since I watched the other two movies, and the really funny thing is like the first movie, I remember it. It was like pretty simple and stuff. I liked it. It's just these people like pretty much like a month after the zombie infection stuff starts happening. The second movie was like such a generic ass sequel. I don't remember like almost anything about it. I only remember there was like somebody that was immune. It's one of those kind of zombie stories where it's like somebody's immune, you have to get them to like a research place or whatever. I don't really remember anything with it, and that actually turned out fine. I don't think they reference anything from the second movie in this one, or at least hopefully not. I didn't think so. So that's pretty funny. I mean, these do kind of seem to be standalone anyway, except for this one and the fourth movie. So there's a fourth movie now. This one came out like last year, and then the Bone Temple, I think, came out this year. I don't remember. I remember it came out in theaters, and then I started like watching these movies. And Bone Temple is a direct sequel to this one, so I'm gonna watch it. Probably not like today, but within this week. I'm not waiting like months to watch the next movie in the series. It'll probably be within the same week that I watch this one, not probably like tomorrow. I don't know. I could have even done these back to back, but I think I'm gonna be watching Project Hail Mary today, so I don't think that's happening. So with this movie, I wasn't sure about it at first, to be honest with you. I was kind of like meh, but then I think around, funnily enough, all the way by like the third act, I was kind of like sort of approaching there. Then I was sort of interested in it, because it's about this kid, his name's Spike. He's like 12, and his mom and his dad, and the mom is sick, and at first it's just like him and his dad, they're like going hunting. It's kind of like a coming of age story a bit, where Spike is like at the start of the movie being well, not like the very very start, there's like other things that happen. He's being taught by his dad. They're like going on their first like zombie hunt basically, and then by the end of the movie he's able to survive by himself and kind of go on his own journey and everything. But it kind of starts off where it's like him and his dad for a good chunk of the movie, and then he decides he doesn't want to be around his dad anymore, and then it's him and his mom for the rest of the movie, and it's about trying to get her to a doctor and everything. It's kind of interesting. I thought the beginning of the movie, which that seems to happen with these, where it's like it shows these people getting attacked by zombies, and none of those people end up being like the main characters. With this one, there's like this blonde kid, his name's Jimmy. He's with who I'm presuming are his siblings, and they're watching the Teletubbies. The Teletubbies do end up coming back at the end of the movie, which was kind of funny to me. Not like literally the Teletubbies, but you'll see what I mean when I talk about it. But they're watching the Teletubbies, and these zombies come in because the mom is like, "Hey kids, don't move from the spot," and then the zombies immediately show up and kill all of them. And Jimmy only ends up surviving because he is like the one that's closest to the door and runs away. But yeah, I did not think the Teletubbies were going to be as important to this as they were. So it's like, what a way to start, honestly. But I think that's how the second one was too, where it's like a bunch of people get attacked, and then Jimmy ends up running to his dad, and his dad believes that like the zombies aren't monster like killer monsters or anything. It's like, oh, these people are like in like a religious sense they're being saved, and then he happily gets eaten by a zombie, and you don't see Jimmy again until the end. I didn't realize the beginning was actually like a flashback, because the movie takes place when it's 28 years after the infection starts, so I just assumed the intro of this movie was part of that. But no, I can't really say if it's from the point of like 28 weeks later, 28 days later, because there's enough wiggle room, or it could be either, honestly, but probably from the beginning of the virus or something, because Jimmy's like a little kid at the beginning of this, and at the end he's an adult. And seeing Jimmy from like the beginning to the end, where he's just like a normal kid, and then he's like a cult leader of all these people that wear these blonde wigs and they kill people to Teletubby music at the end. I'm not kidding, that's how the movie ends, which is just really funny to me, because I had the subtitles on too, and it just says punk version of Teletubbies theme starts to play, and then it starts playing, and I'm like, wait, what? But that was really cool, just watching all these people beat the shit out of zombies to cover the Teletubby theme song. But yeah, that was kind of crazy at the end. I didn't even realize it was Jimmy at first, not just because the Teletubby theme, and he introduces himself as Jimmy, but he has this little like cross that he ends up getting from his dad. But yeah, seeing Jimmy at the end made me wish he was the main character instead, because there's always like a lot of weirdos and stuff in zombie apocalypse movies and games or whatever, because it's like the end of the world. People are able to like do whatever, but they're trying to survive. I think that's like kind of the fun with it too. I think that's part of the reason I need to get into like Fallout and stuff. Anyway, I kind of just have, I think, mostly general notes. I have like a lot, but it's just more of like parts that were kind of interesting to me. I don't really have a lot of notes for like the first 2 acts of the movie, honestly. Visually, I want to just start with that. Visually, this movie is really cool. I really liked the cinematography. There was a couple of parts where I wrote down specific things, like towards the beginning you get to see this like red night vision kind of look of the zombies. They tear off an elk's head. That looked really cool, but just the lighting of that, it kind of made me wish that we got one of these movies, but like from the perspective of someone with like night vision goggles or whatever. But they don't really have a lot of like technology in this movie. And actually what I find kind of interesting with these is like the further it goes into being the apocalypse, like more time passing, the more people, because 28 years have passed. Like Spike's a kid, so there's like kids that are being born into a zombie infested world where there's stuff, like things they don't know about, and I just find that interesting. I mean, I'm a little bit bummed that with Bone Temple there's not even like more time passing, but I feel like 28 years, it's like how much further are you gonna go with that? At this, we've reached the point where it's like years are passing and stuff. Like there's this one part when Spike is traveling with his mom, and he's talking to this guy named Eric whose phone somehow still has power, and he's showing a picture of his girlfriend. She's had like lip injections and stuff, or it might be like a Botox thing or whatever, where her lips are like really puffy, and Spike is just like, she looks weird, what's wrong with her face? And Eric's like, what are you talking about? And you realize, oh yeah, this kid's not gonna know about lip injections and other stuff like that. And then Spike talks about some person he knows that ate a bunch of shellfish and is allergic, and the lips puffed up, and is like trying to make sense of it through that. So it's like kind of a funny scene, but also I mean, not that lip injections would be the first example I'd give of like oh, things people wouldn't understand in a zombie apocalypse world or anything, but that was just kind of interesting to me. I think because I'm so used to like adult characters in these movies. I mean, there was a kid in the second one. I kind of remember that. I think it was 2 kids. But like the first one was just people that were grown adults and everything. But yeah, that was kind of interesting. And then there's this part early on where Spike is with his dad, and they're running through all this water. And and it shows a couple of times like the starry sky above them, and it just looks so cool, honestly. I really thought that the movie was going to be the dad and his kid. I would have been completely fine with that, but I like those kind of stories anyway, where it's like some kind of apocalypse and it's like two people or like a couple of people, whether they're like related or not, that have to survive together. I always find those kind of interesting in like a character study sort of way, but that could also just be because I played The Last of Us last summer, so I was like kind of thinking about that while I was watching those scenes. And then there's this other part, because most of the time, like, the people, I mean, I know it's a movie, so, like, their hair looks okay. Not that everyone has, like, makeup and stuff, like, there's things they're not going to have access to. But it's mostly just people trying to survive. At least there's still, like, some houses. But there's this one part where there's, like, a bunch of people. Like, the dad takes the kid to, like, some kind of party. And the party's super loud. And for some reason, I think they're giving the kid alcohol. And he wants to leave. And that's when he sees his dad cheating on his mom. But, yeah, it was kind of nice to just see a bunch of people having fun and having a party in, like, a pretty normal place. Like, yeah, it's a zombie apocalypse, but they don't have to be, it's not to the point where they have to be stressed, like, in survival mode, like, all the time. So that was pretty nice to see some normalcy in there. But yeah, the dad cheating on the mom, I think is the thing that makes the kid tell his dad, like, I don't want you around anymore, and you don't get to see the dad for, like, almost the rest of the movie until, like, one scene at the very end. But I understand, it's like the dad gets really mad at the kid for bringing it up and ends up, like, slapping him, and the whole fact that he's, like, cheating in the first place is pretty shitty. There's, like, the mom, she well, you eventually find out that she has cancer, actually. But what comes with that is it, like, affects her memory in various ways. Like, there's a portion of her journey with her son where she thinks that her son is her dad, and she keeps calling him dad and talking about memories from her childhood and stuff, which was, like, pretty sad to watch, honestly. But there's times where the mom kind of freaks out about things or forgets stuff. And taking care of her seems to be, like, kind of hard on the family, but that's still, like, not a good reason for the dad to be cheating on the mom, I mean, there's never really a good reason to cheat on anybody, but still. So then the dad's not involved with the movie anymore, and then it's just the mom and the kid. And I think, even though when they do finally reach the doctor, that was the point where I was paying, like, the most attention in the movie. But I did like their journey, and now that I'm thinking back to it, talking about it after I finished the movie, I feel like I appreciate their journey more. I mean, I didn't know what kind of illness the mom had originally, and I thought, oh, okay, they're going to get her to the doctor. I mean, I wasn't so invested in the characters where I was like, please make sure she's okay, and they get to the doctor and feeling, like, the intensity of the situation. But it was kind of just, like, oh, maybe she'll live, maybe she won't. And I kind of viewed it not just as maybe they get to a doctor, but, like, maybe they get to a safer place or something. But they were leaving family behind. Like, there was a grandfather that was still alive and everything. But yeah, there isn't, like, a ton of zombies. It kind of felt more like the first movie once the mom and her son were traveling, which I thought was pretty nice. But yeah, now knowing that she has cancer and she ends up dying when they get to the doctor, it kind of makes their journey more bittersweet in a way, as it's kind of their last real time together and everything, and the kid's, like, gaining more skills and stuff, and they end up finding a baby. I didn't even know that the zombies could get pregnant, and I wasn't completely sure because there's a pregnant zombie. If she got, I'm assuming she had to get pregnant before becoming a zombie. I don't, the zombies are dead. I don't think you could, like, procreate at that point. But she gives birth to a baby, and the baby is not infected and completely healthy, which I I didn't really completely understand, because you think, I mean, the mom was like, not Spike's mom, but like the pregnant zombie mom, I mean, was like really, really pregnant, you know, like about to give birth at like any time. But you'd think, you know, because the baby is connected to a mom through the umbilical cord and getting nutrients, that if the mother is a zombie and isn't able to make fresh nutrients or anything, you know, I mean, I've heard that is like a real thing where like someone can be dead and they're still able to give birth, but I feel like in the case of this movie, if the mom is a zombie, I feel like that should like really lessen the chances of the baby not just being able to be born, but like being healthy. Like the baby in this movie seems to be completely healthy. But yeah, part of the plot is that they have to help this baby be born. It's not even through like C-section either. The baby just gets pushed out. And I thought like, oh man, they're gonna leave the kid to raise this baby, but the kid ends up giving the baby to his dad at the end, which I thought was a good choice. I thought, okay, this kid, he's doing this narration at the end of the movie of like traveling by himself, so it's like this 12-year-old and this baby. I feel like that's not good for the baby. But the baby does get to safety at the end. But I wonder if this is gonna be one of the things that ends up coming up in like the Bone Temple movie. I don't know. I think the two sad, there's like a couple of sad scenes. I feel like this movie's kind of more sad than anything, just specifically because of the mom character. Like I mentioned that she mistakes her son for her father. There's this part where they're in a flower field. It's kind of the first time where it happens, and the mom is having a conversation. She's talking to the grandpa as if he's there. I wasn't completely sure if it was like reminiscing a childhood memory, or as if the grandfather was there and with them on the journey and talking about some stuff he had mentioned earlier. But the kid goes to look at her and she's just talking to no one, and I thought that was really sad. And then the scene where they end up finding out that she has cancer. I was assuming it was breast cancer because they mention the doctor does like a full check on her and everything, and mentions about the lymph nodes on her breast. But yeah, you get the big reveal that she has cancer, and they aren't even sure if it like spread from her brain to her body or her body to her brain. And that it's terminal. She can't be cured, and Spike ends up getting really upset and is like begging the doctor, like, hey, if we even go to get medicine, you know, from the hospitals and everything, like the kinds they used to have, that would help. And it's like, and they end up having to end the mom's life. I mean, thankfully they do it when the kid's not there. They set it up in a way actually where it looked like she was gonna get shot with a dart while she was hugging her son, and I was like, oh, don't do it while the kid's there. But they end up, it's at the doctor and the mom, they end up walking like really far away somewhere, and then the doctor comes back and is holding the mom's skull. Because that's the other thing, as soon as the stuff with the bones popped up in this movie, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see why they ended up making the Bone Temple and everything, even though I actually don't know what that's going to be about. They end up meeting the doctor character. That was the other thing that made me curious about the sequel, because I knew that Ralph Fiennes, he's in all the posters and stuff for Bone Temple, so I was waiting to see like, okay, which character is he going to be in this one, or unless he's like exclusive to the sequel. But no, he plays the doctor character that they end up going to find, and it's kind of interesting where the kid's dad, like Spike's dad, tells him of like, oh yeah, there is a doctor, because there isn't really, you know, that many doctors left in this world, but the doctor is like supposedly insane or whatever, and it's no, he's completely fine, and he's been surviving fine and I mean, he doesn't live in like a house or anything like some of the other characters do. It's just kind of him out in the wilderness, but like he coats himself in iodine and everything to kind of ward off the zombies, and he shoots them with these darts. It's like morphine mixed with something else, but it doesn't kill them, but it just like drugs them basically, which is pretty cool. Like when he's introduced, he's shown up like saving the mom and the kid and everything. But yeah, he was an interesting character. I think the scene where he's checking out the mom was also kind of interesting because, I mean, he doesn't have any, like, equipment or anything, but he's talking to her in, like, such a calm voice. I think that's one of the things, actually, that interests me the most with these movies is, like, there isn't a ton of zombies. I mean, when there's zombies, you know, like, the characters are in danger and stuff, but there's a lot of, like, sort of almost downtime in a sense in these movies. I'm kind of specifically thinking more of, like, the first and the third one, but that's also mostly because I can't remember the second one no matter how hard I try. I bet if like I read a Wikipedia page for it, it'd probably jog my memory, but that doesn't matter right now. But I remember a lot with the first movie too, where there's times to like really develop the characters and everything, and they get to talk about stuff, and I think with also these movies having a small cast in terms of like main characters that, you know, they aren't zombies or anything, I think that also helps to get you to like care about them and stuff. Because I feel like it's still the first movie in terms of characters that I rooted for the most. But with the third one, like I did like sort of care about the mom and the son and everything. Wait, hold on. I messed up with my notes. I'm in the wrong place. But yeah, when the mom ends up dying, they add her skull to the bone temple. I do like the whole explanation about the bone temple. Because I didn't know what that meant as in like the title of the fourth movie, but the bone temple concept's introduced in this one, where I thought it was trees, and then I saw when the camera zooms in, like, oh shit, that's literally like these stacks to the point where they look like towers of human skulls. And it's just I think it's just the skulls. It's not even like the rest of the bones in the body, but it's basically like a memento mori is how it's treated, like, and serving as like a monument of the dead. Speaking of memento mori, that's like a phrase I constantly hear and stuff, like remembering that you'll die, but I've never heard the phrase memento amoris, which means remember you must love. That is like such a good line. I mean, I know that's not a line directly from this movie, you know, like originally from the movie, it's like an already existing thing. I think I've heard it like a few times, but I find that interesting because you always in like movies you hear memento mori, but you never hear the one that's like related to love. But I think that's such like a beautiful concept, honestly, and it's said in this movie when Spike sees his mom, you know, one last time before the doctor kills her and everything. It's like a really nice scene, actually. I think that was one of the strongest things to me about this movie, was like the more kind of heartfelt and sad scenes. But yeah, he ends up climbing all the way to the top of the main tower and putting his mom's skull up there, and kind of sits up on top of the skulls to watch the sunset with her. That was sad, because I'm thinking like, I mean, it's already hard enough to lose someone to cancer, and especially because he's a little kid losing his mom, but the fact that he's handed like, okay, here it is, here's her skull in your hands, really hammers it in that she's dead, but also the fact that he has to go through that is pretty crazy, honestly. So like, it's on a mostly sad note, and then if I didn't know there was already a sequel to this, I really did think that the doctor character was gonna die, actually, because towards the end, him and the kid, they end up like underground or something, and the zombies end up grabbing the doctor, and they kind of jam him into the ceiling a few times, and I really thought they were going to take him away and kill him, but he ends up okay, and then he tells the kid like, hey, I think you and the baby should leave, so they leave, and then it turns out the kid's going to travel by himself without the baby, and you don't see the doctor again after this, so I'm assuming he's going to be probably the main character of the sequel, you know, or at least one of the main characters. And then Jimmy shows up and he saves Spike, and it's Jimmy and all his followers, and they're beating up all these zombies to the Teletubbies theme. So like, it doesn't end on a completely sad note and stuff, and I'm assuming maybe Jimmy's gonna be relevant in the next movie. I don't know, maybe we get to see like an older Spike or something. But yeah, this is still like an emotional movie. I still think the first one's my favorite, but so yeah, so far it's like the first one's my favorite. I can't remember the second movie if I tried, and the third one was pretty good actually. Like I wasn't really feeling it at first, but I think as it went on, once it's like, and it's probably supposed to be the main focus anyway, of the mom and the son and their journey to go and see the doctor, then I definitely felt like it was pretty good from like, not that the beginning or the stuff with like the dad and the son is bad or anything, just like a little bit slow, honestly. But yeah, I'm glad that I watched this. I'm actually looking forward to the sequel, because as I was watching this one at first I was like, maybe I shouldn't continue, or I'm gonna have to like force myself to get through this, but I am looking forward to it. But yeah, it kind of just depends. Like if I get to watch the movie with my dad tonight, I will, but if I don't, then I'm gonna watch the sequel. But like I'm not gonna wait months for it, so I'll remember this one. This movie is memorable. Yeah. All right, thanks for listening. Bye bye.